Asking somebody who didn't want to take one of these vaccines why they're not taking it has got to be one of the stupidest questions you could ask somebody. Why do you not want to take this vaccine? Because I think the onus is on the people who have completely changed their worldview in the period of 6 months or so to justify their position, rather than it being on people who are thinking the way not only they, but pretty much everybody have always thought about these issues. Right? It's a bizarre kind of inversion of logic or something. Of the people who haven't changed a perspective that was universally shared for our entire lives, and before that, those people who haven't changed in the last 6 months, the onus is on them to justify why they haven't completely inverted their values and principles. Whereas you would think that the onus would be on everybody who has completely changed their views on this and inverted their values and principles to justify that. But it's not. It's the other way around. Right? So, like everybody else, for my entire adult life, I thought that nobody should be forced to take medications against their will, and nobody should be punished for it. The government shouldn't punish people because they don't want to take particular medications. My entire adult life, nobody would have argued with you about that. It would have been perhaps unspoken, but something that would have been considered a self-evident truth. So why would it even come up? So that was like, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the first decade of the 2000s. And then suddenly, in the last 6 months, you were supposed to pretend that you didn't believe that anymore. And not only are you supposed to pretend that you don't believe it anymore, that that's not your principles and your values, you're supposed to pretend that you always believed that, of course, you should be forced to take drugs against your will. And of course the government should punish you if you don't take the drugs they tell you to take when they tell you to take them. People are acting like they've always believed this. Like this is just this universal truth that it'd be crazy not to force people to take drugs against their will. Right? And like I'm saying, why is the onus on the people who haven't changed their worldview that was was normative for our entire history, basically. And then the last 6 months, it's been completely inverted. And somehow the people who are going, wait, what? What? We're supposed to think what now? Those people are the people who have to justify what they're doing. Makes no sense. But it's not supposed to make sense, right? And people that haven't changed their worldview because it makes sense. Right? They've changed their worldview on a dime because, kind of because the pressure to do so has been sufficient to make them do that, which just is startling that all you have to do is apply enough pressure, and really not that much pressure, but enough, and people will fall in line and believe whatever you want them to believe, whatever you want. Or say they will. And they'll convince themselves they believe it too. And it's because the short-term payoff is social acceptance, social validation, and moral validation. And so if enough people around you are all thinking the same thing, you'll start thinking it too. You'll just go along with it. That's clearly what the evidence demonstrates, because we've seen it over the last few months in across the Western world. You've seen it, and it's a very peculiar phenomenon. But a more peculiar phenomenon is that it's being treated like it's not a peculiar phenomenon. Everybody's pretending, no, this is all perfectly normal. Well, why wouldn't we be doing this? It's very strange.